In this Jumpcast, we're going to run through the creation of a simple web app using Express. This is based on a code example from the book on Node.js from the SitePoint Jumpstart series. This is really just a taste of the much more interesting examples that you're going to find in the book. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is make sure you've got Node.js installed. On the GitHub page for Node, there's a wiki page on installing Node.js via Package Manager for Linux, for OS X for Windows. If you're on Mac or Windows, you can use the simple installer. It makes things pretty painless. So I'm going to assume you've been able to get Node installed correctly. At this point, you'll be able to run Node from the terminal and be sitting at the read-eval print loop or REPL, which will let us run arbitrary JavaScript commands like console log hello world, which will log out our string to the console as well as its return value of undefined. So that's worked perfectly. We're going to start creating an application using Express, which is a popular web application framework for Node. We're going to use npm or Node Package Manager to install globally with the -g flag Express. This is going to download Express and its dependencies from the npm registry, and it's going to put it in a global place in our system so that we can run the Express command from anywhere in the terminal. Now that that's completed, we can run Express and give our application a name. We're going to call it Say Hello, which has created a Say Hello directory with a few files in it. We'll open it in our text editor. You can see we've got a package.json here with the name of our application. We'll call it Say Hello. It lists our dependencies, which is quite important, and it's also got the app.js. This is the code that at the moment drives our application. Our dependencies are Express and Jade. This file is what npm uses when you say npm install. It's going to look at the package.json, and you can see it's grabbing Express and Jade and their dependencies. And in this case, it's a local install, so it's putting it in node_modules in our current directory. By doing this now, we can actually run node app.js. It's going to read that application file, and we now have a server at localhost port 3000 printing out Express. Welcome to Express. So we're going to make a really simple example. It's going to read from a file, and that's going to print out a form. And we're going to use the, when you post that form, we're going to do something with the values. So first thing is to create a new route, app.get/sayhello. And that gives us a callback that's provided two parameters, the request and the response object. Now we want to send out the contents of a file. That requires the file system module that's built into Node. So fs is require fs, and we'll say fs.read file./form.html. That takes a callback with if an error happened, that's the first parameter, otherwise it's the contents of the file, which we will do something with. Now you might have noticed at the moment there is no form.html, so we're going to create a new one here called form.html. We're going to put inside it a form tag. Action is say hello, will post to itself, and the method, of course, is post. We're going to give it a label, ask for their name. We'll put an input in there of type text, and the name, of course, is name. Now back in our application, we can, at this point, we can say if an error occurred, we're going to, in our response, write the header, which is an error code of 500, and then we can response.end. So that's the end of that request if an error happens reading the file. Otherwise, we're going to response.end because we're only going to send one thing down the line. So in this case, it's the contents of the file, and we can specify its encoding, which in this case is UTF-8. If we go back over to our terminal, Control-C to kill our app, run it again. We've still got our default route, but if we go to /sayhello, you can see the contents of our file are being spit out like this. Why is that? Because we need to specify in the header that it's an HTML content type. So if we say response.writeHead, like we did with the error code, we can say it's a 200. This is the important part. The content type is text/HTML. If we once again Control-C to kill our app, start it again, and if we refresh, we've got a form coming out. At the moment, if we post our name, we say Bob you can't post. Why is that? Because we don't have a route. If we jump over to our app.js one more time and we'll say app.post rather than get, when you post to say hello, we've got once again the request and the response object being passed through. Now we want to, in the response, we're just going to response.send. In this case, we're just going to spit out some basic text. We're going to say hello plus the name that's been required. Now the name has been passed in the request body, and it's used the name that's been provided in the form element, and then we response.end. Now that that's been completed, we start our app one more time. Let's say Bob and hello Bob, and that's it. This was a really simple example, so if you'd like to learn more about Node.js, definitely check out the book on Node.js from the SitePoint Jumpstart series. Thanks for watching.